what? I have just been loving this picture of Chief Aaron Edwards, who is a 2-star chief of a precinct in the New York City Police Department, and how he jumped over the stanchions and tackled the guy that was about to throw a bomb into a crowd in New York City. This is why defund the police is a stupid idea. Okay? This is a Chief Aaron Edwards is his name. New York City Police Department, decades of service. Usually it's the guy with the suit on, but he was suited up in his uniform that day, and he saved the day. And you know what? We need to know their names. And later on in the program today, I'm going to play you some of the recordings from 9/11 of the people that called home before their planes went down, because I think we've forgotten those people. And it's not that we think that we're better or we don't want free speech or any of that. I want all of that, okay? But if we have gotten to the point that we cannot call evil evil, then we're in a problem. Because just saying that something's wrong and needs to be fixed does not make you a bad person. So we're going to get to that later in the program. But first, we're very excited to have Brian Strickland with me today. He is one of the best speakers in our legislature, but he's also running for higher office. And I'm so glad to have you here with me today. And you're just out of the wire, because once we get to 60 days out, then I got to give equal time to everybody. How are you?
Hey, I'm good, Martha. How are you doing?
Good. I'm doing great. I am back to work and doing great. I had a heart attack about 5 weeks ago. And
oh, wow.
Yeah, so I had to learn a lot of things about managing my stress over the last 5 weeks,
Right.
But I'm excited to be back.
You know, sometimes God makes us go through stuff like that so we can learn those lessons for ourselves. I'm just glad you're doing well and glad to have you back here in the trenches again.
Oh, it's so true. That morning before I had the heart attack, I actually had Dr. Karen Gersh on the program, who's a cardiothoracic surgeon. It was Women's Heart Health Month. We were talking about lung cancer prevention, because that's one of her big things, but we were also talking about women's heart health. And then 2 hours later, I'm at a caregivers meeting at church, and I start having the symptoms. And of course, I don't want to call attention to myself, so I step out of the room to call my husband, who's a doctor. And he goes,
Right.
I think you need to go in the office and call an ambulance. But anyway,
Right.
So that's just the way it went. But Brian, you're a member of the Georgia State Senate. The Georgia State Senate is going to change a lot this year into next year because of
Right.
all the people that are running for office. But first, tell us about you and why you're running for Attorney General.
Well, thank you. You had me on early in the campaign last summer, and I appreciate you having me back again. The campaign is going really well. And as some of y'all may remember, I live in Henry County. I've served in the state house for 5 years, and I ran for the state senate in 2018. I've served in the state senate since then. And my wife, Lindsay, and I have 2 little boys we're raising, an 8-year-old and a 6-year-old here in Henry County. And when I'm not in the legislature, I'm also a general practitioner and attorney. But this campaign has been going really well. We're running for Attorney General. And when I first announced, Martha, we talked about this almost a year ago, and I said, I'm running on my reputation, someone that has a reputation for being someone who gets things done at the state capitol and leading on conservative issues, such as issues in the Second Amendment and election integrity and the heartbeat bill, and also winning tough elections. I come from a part of the state where it's very difficult to win as a Republican. So we have that experience and that reputation, and I'm proud to announce that we rolled out 2 weeks ago. We now have 77 sheriffs around the state, in every corner of our state, that have endorsed me to be the next Attorney General, joining over 2/3 of our Republican district attorneys. And 100% of every sheriff and every district attorney that's weighed in this race have endorsed me in this race. I'm really proud to have their support.
Well, that's pretty exciting. And I think a lot of people don't understand what the Attorney General does. I mean, Chris Carr, who's running for governor now, has been, I think, a great Attorney General. He's not only been involved in, big federal cases that everybody hears about, where Georgia chimes in and is a part of it, but he's also been involved in working against human trafficking and that sort of thing in the state of Georgia. And I had a friend of mine, Brian, who's fairly new to Georgia, and said, gosh, I just heard that we have human trafficking here. I can't believe that. And I know that sometimes if you live in a really nice neighborhood in a place, you don't think about that stuff. But at the same time, it's happening everywhere. And
It is.
for me, it's my biggest issue because it's 21st century slavery, Brian. And it is a horrible thing. So what do you see as the role of the Attorney General and how you will attack that job?
Well, you briefly mentioned what I call the civil side of the job, and that's where you represent the state agencies, you're representing Georgia in constitutional challenges, defending our conservative laws, not just in Georgia, but also in Washington, D.C. And then you have the criminal jurisdiction side of the office, and human trafficking is a great example. This office is set up to give resources to local law enforcement, to district attorneys to fight organized crime at every corner of our state. And one of the things we've got to continue to fight is human trafficking. When I first got elected in the state house, there were folks who said, this doesn't exist. We don't have sex trafficking, sex trades happening in our state. And frankly, some people wanted to turn a blind eye because it's not good for the Chamber of Commerce to say that, right? But it's something that's real. And once we recognize the crime itself, we started giving more resources to the Attorney General's office to go after organized crime and go after human traffickers. Then we started realizing, okay, there are businesses out there, some hotels that were turning a blind eye, making money off sex trades happening on the premises. So we started going after those that are profiting from that. And then we started saying, okay, all this work we've done, we've left the victims behind, folks that are trapped in this system. So we started giving support, bringing our victims out of this industry. And this past session, actually on Friday, at our crossover day, I was proud to carry the bill that to me is the next step in fighting human trafficking, and that's making pimping and pandering a felony. You know that in Georgia, we're one of the only states in the country that treats pimping and pandering. These are the people that are really supplying prostitutes and supporting prostitution in our cities, and we treat that as a misdemeanor on the first offense. And so the bill I filed on Friday that passed unanimously in the Senate makes that a felony. We got to get after the supply side of this and make sure we don't let people go out in the street and turn a blind eye to those that are actually supporting this industry in the streets.
Yeah, I mean it's such a tragic situation because, I know you're running for the Georgia Attorney General, but what the saddest thing to me over the Biden administration and the just open borders process that they encouraged. I mean, it was just wrong. You can debate about what our views ought to be on immigration. You can debate about what legal immigration. I personally think that Senator Perdue had a great idea with the RAISE Act on how to fix the immigration system, and we need to do that. But if you, as a human being, could not identify that we had 300,000 children that we didn't really know who they went with through the border, and somehow we condoned that because we looked the other way, that's 21st century slavery. And to me, that was the single most important thing. Now, I understand we found about 145,000 of these kids. God knows what's happening to the rest of them, but it's an important part of what we do.
I completely agree. And look, under Joe Biden, we heard the daily headlines. We had, hundreds of thousands of people in some months crossing the border illegally. And Democrats kept saying, we have to pass immigration reform. We have to pass immigration reform. We need to pass a bill. And Republicans kept saying, secure the border first. We've heard that for so long. Well, President Trump gets in office, and he secures the border without any legislation, by executive action, something Joe Biden didn't do for 4 years. And think about how many people cross that border with drugs in our country, how many human traffickers cross that border. Nobody wants to talk about that. And we're sitting here in Georgia dealing with the side effects of an open border policy we had for 4 years under Joe Biden. And President Trump from day one secures the border, and no one really even wants to give him credit for that.
Well, and I think, too, we look at what we saw happen in New York, and we're talking to Brian Strickland. He's running for Attorney General of Georgia. But you look at what happened in New York with the attempted terrorist attack over the weekend, and how many sleeper cells are in the United States. There were 1 million gotaways a year for 4 years.
Right.
And that's just people that the Border Patrol saw coming across, but they couldn't get to them because
Right.
they were being so overflowed. So we don't know what people like that are up to. And I just think it's a challenge in law enforcement. There's a couple things government should do. Okay. When you get to the end of your driveway, there should be a road there. And I think that's the role of government to do that. I think that keeping you safe, I'm talking about local and state. I mean, obviously defense is something that federal government does, but they ought to keep you safe. And there's many
right.
iterations of that, but they ought to keep you safe.
And that's why I'm running for Attorney General. I think it's so important that we get the right person in this role in Georgia, because we've seen other states that do not have the backs of law enforcement. Look at Minnesota. Look at the Attorney General up there and what he's doing. He's going out there saying, I don't want to enforce immigration laws. I don't like the laws. That's what he's trying to say. So what he does is he doesn't have the backs of our law enforcement, our brave men and women who go out there in the trenches and defend us and enforce our laws. They take an oath, not an oath to enforce red laws, blue laws, not to an oath to be a lawmaker, but to enforce the law that we write. And we need people in office that won't blink and will say, we're going to enforce the laws in our state. And we send our law enforcement out, whether they're federal, state, or local, we're going to have their backs. We're going to defend them. And again, that's why I'm so proud to have so many sheriffs with us, because these are men and women that are in the trenches fighting for us every single day and taking on human traffickers, taking on gangs. And they need an attorney general that'll have their backs.
Absolutely. If people want to help you, Brian, how can they do that?
Well, they can reach out at stricklandforgeorgia.com. And if you want to join our campaign, you can join as a volunteer, help us get signs out. Also follow us on Facebook and Instagram and X. And again, it's Strickland for Georgia. And I'd love to have you all support. We got to get past this primary course and then make sure we have everybody all hands on deck to win that general election in the fall.
So what is your handle on X?
It's Strickland for Georgia.
Is it number 4 or you spell it out?
Spell it out, F-O-R.
Okay. Just want to check. So if people are looking for you, they can find you. Yeah, that sounds great.
I appreciate that, Martha.
Yeah.
Hope you keep feeling well. Again, it's good to have you back, and we'll keep you in my prayers as well.
Thank you so much. We'll take a break, and when we come back, we'll talk more.
When you need news anytime, day or night, get it from the source that's been delivering local news digitally for a quarter of a century. Go with AccessWDUN.com and the Access WDUN app, powered by North Georgia's News Talk, WDUN.
You already know Gainesville Mechanical for their award-winning HVAC service, but did you know they handle plumbing too? Because plumbing problems never happen at a good time, you need a trusted, experienced team there when they do. From small leaks to major repairs, Gainesville Mechanical is here for you with 24/7 no overtime rates through their Customer Assurance Maintenance Plan. Proud to be named Best of Hall for HVAC and plumbing, Gainesville Mechanical and Bryant, doing whatever it takes to keep North Georgia cool since 1989.
Great Chevy vehicles and excellent customer service. Those were the cornerstones that Charles and Jeanette Hardy built Hardy Chevrolet on in 1982, and that hasn't changed. This is Mike Cormier inviting you to Hardy Chevrolet. Come see how enjoyable car shopping can be. From our sales team to our service department, we're all about customer service. Like Charles Hardy always said,
we love you and we need you.
Together, let's drive. At Hardy Chevrolet, Browns Bridge Road in Gainesville, online at hardychevrolet.com.
Would you take advice on how to collect money from the folks that owe it to you? That's exactly what you do when you let an insurance company steer you to their contract shop. At Nichols Body Shop, we earn our customers one at a time. We depend on repeat customers and referrals to keep our shop busy. When you need a repair shop, please consider picking a shop that works for you. Nichols Body Shop in Flowery Branch, where the best sign of a quality repair is no sign at all. Find us on Facebook or call 770-967-8200.
Here's a tale of Linda trying to lose weight, but the med prices she found were all over the place.
Hidden fees and markups made her jaw drop low. Then she found Good RX. Now she's in the know.
GLP-1 subscriptions FDA approved.
With clear upfront pricing.
And same-day pickup.
That's Good RX, the no-nonsense way. Save time and money on prescriptions.
Get to goodrx.com/weight loss. GoodRx is not insurance.
Hear that? That's Mike. He took ZQL Pure Z's, so now he's sleeping soundly on a Sunday night. ZQL Pure Z's are fast-acting melatonin gummies with a complementary botanical blend to help Mike get the sleep he needs to wake up refreshed and ready to conquer Monday.
Let's do this Monday.
ZQL Pure Z's, just for sleep. Really great sleep.
These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. These products are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Use as directed.
Always here, always local.
From the Access WDUN Hardy Chevrolet Newsroom, Jackson County's Board of Education is preparing its leadership roles for its own board and for a soon-to-open high school next year. Details at Access WDUN and coming up on North Georgia's News Talk.
It's the Martha Zoller Show, presented by Gainesville Mechanical. From the Northeast Georgia Health System studio in downtown Gainesville on AM 550 and FM 102.9 WDUN.
Britain's historic social cohesion that has kept us united in the face of adversity is now under threat. For many people living in the UK, the changes brought about by mass migration have been too much, too quickly. And this is a fascinating bit, leaving people feeling as though they are losing their local and national identity. But they're not feeling it.
It's happening.
It's actually happening. They say
In fact,
integration, they say, is a two-way street.
It is the Martha Zoller Show, so it doesn't matter where you are. We like to think that our problems are, just our problems. But you've got this issue of, and it's changed a lot, of immigration where, there's a level of immigration that the assimilation is becoming difficult. My grandmother came over in 1903. And, they asked her questions like how much money did she have? Was she an anarchist? I mean, I can look at this. They asked him 10 questions on the way in, and they had $1 million a year coming through Ellis Island. Okay, so it can be done manually and done correctly. But in 1924, they realized that they had been taking in $1 million a year for 40 years, and it was time to slow down. And that's what we did. We slowed down from 1924 to 1964. And since 1964, we've had pretty much open borders. And I think we're at a place now where we need to have this conversation, because if you want to come here and you don't want to become an American, then why are you coming? And I don't mean you should go home. I'm not like but just you should ask yourself the question. If you want to live exactly the way you lived, where you came from, then why are you leaving? So it's a question that I think we need to ask, and I think we're going to ask more, and we're going to be called names for it. But I'm about having discussion and about talking about issues. Now, of course, we had the tragic accident, bringing it back a little closer to home, where Jason Hughes, the teacher at North Hall, was killed accidentally. The families made a number of statements and basically saying they forgive the kids. They don't want them charged. But yesterday, Senator Drew Eccles, whose son knew Jason Hughes and he was his teacher, took to the floor of the of the Senate chamber and made this statement.
Thank you, Mr. President. Today I come to you, colleagues, with a heavy heart to honor the life of a teacher, Mr. Jason Hughes, a beloved teacher at North Hall High School, who lost his life Friday night, tragically. Jason was more than a teacher. He was a Christian, a husband, a father, a mentor, and a role model with a steady presence in the lives of students. Saturday, Shelley told Cohen about his teacher passing away, and we made the fatal mistake of letting Cohen have a Instagram account, and he started seeing the stuff on there, and it was tragic what happened. I'm sure you guys have seen it on the news. And Cohen asked me later on that day, he asked me who was going to teach the Bible to the football team now. So in the classroom, he served as a math teacher. He also served as an advisor for Fellowship of Christian Athletes, helping students growing up in leadership and character and faith. He also led a program called NG3 at North Hall. What that is, it's a mentoring program that pairs students with adult leaders in the community who meet regularly to encourage character, leadership, and service to others. Through NG3 and FCA, he helps students navigate the most important lessons of life: how to lead, how to serve, and how to care for one another. His loss comes in the wake of a decades-long prank tradition leading up to prom that had been a part of student culture for many years at the school. Today, our hearts are with the students of North Hall High School who are mourning a teacher many considered their favorite. In moments like this, a community feels grief, heartbreak, and confusion all at once. Let us pray for the Hughes family, his colleagues, and the students' lives that he shaped. And let us pray for wisdom, grace, and healing for our entire community, trying to make sense of an unimaginable tragedy. May we remember Jason Hughes for what mattered most, a life spent investing in young people and helping them become the best versions of themselves. Mr. President, I would ask for a brief moment of silence in honoring the life of Jason Hughes.
So that was Senator Drew Eccles, who is in the North Hall district. I live in the North Hall district also. My kids all went to North Hall. And it was just a tragic thing. And I'm going to call out a couple of the media outlets. I mean, we got it right. The Gainesville Times got it right. But some other media outlets, they just saw a student, teacher, and assumed it was some kind of violent, horrible thing that happened that was malicious. And then they went with that. And you know what, folks? In the world of today, you cannot change. You can change the headline, but it's always out there. If you get the wrong headline out there to start off with, I mean, it's always going to be there. So be sure you get it right. You know, I mean, the New York Times last week, when they commented about what a nice smile the Ayatollah had, you know, in their headline. He had an easy smile. Ayatollah passes away at 89. I mean, come on. You know, tell the truth about things, and you don't have to be first. It's more important to be accurate. And in this situation, it was a tragic accident. It seems like the family is leaning that way. Obviously, the law enforcement system has got to do what they've got to do, and I'm not going to interfere with that at all. And I'm sure that the family will be taken into consideration, but there still could be an issue. There still could be an issue for these young people. But there was also a statement released to us by the student that was charged most heavily. And he was contrite, and he was hopeful about the future. And I think it's going to be something that this community is going to remember for a very long time. Anyway, we're going to take a break, and when we come back, we're going to talk to Scott Soracco. He is running against Matt Dubnik for the Georgia House. We'll talk next on the Martha Zoller Show.
For the Norton Agency, selling real estate is personal. Our family name and reputation stand behind every sign, every business card, every associate, and every sale. With the ever-changing real estate practice, we hold strong ideals and professionally train and support our real estate advocates through every segment of the complicated process. I'm Frank Norton, and you can count on it. Norton, now more than ever. Call us at 770-532-0022 or look for us on the web at gonorton.com. Our family serving North Georgia for 4 generations.
Have you ever been at your wit's end over your identity? Hi, this is Whit Martin, pastor of Asbury Chapel. Life takes us through ups and downs, testing and challenging who we are and even who we think we are. Identities can seem to fluctuate, which means there is a bit of trying things out. But when our identities are grounded in Jesus Christ, we discover our true selves, and with that comes confidence and peace. The Bible says in 2 Corinthians chapter 5, verse 17, "Therefore, if anyone is in Christ, he is a new creation. The old has passed away, behold, the new has come." To be in Christ means to find ourselves through God and not through anything else. Not through interests, hobbies, passions, or desires. To be in Christ is for something new to come, something that is from God. I invite you to search God's Word and see that God has more for you than who you think you are. And let God reveal to you who you are in Him. And that is Wit's End. Asbury Chapel invites you to learn more by joining us at 758 Main Street or visit asburychapel.net for more info.
Ryan Blaney wins the Straight Talk Wireless 500.
I had a couple mistakes on pit road and learned from them, move forward, and I didn't have a mistake, the rest of the day.
Up next, NASCAR rolls the dice in Vegas at the Pennzoil 400, presented by Jiffy Lube. We'll have it Sunday at 3 on North Georgia's home of NASCAR. WDUN Gainesville, WDUN FM Clarksville, Gainesville. Always here, always local.
It's 9:30.
Fox News, I'm Therese Crowley. Operation Epic Fury, Day 11. Secretary of War Pete Hegseth.
Today will be, yet again, our most intense day of strikes inside Iran.
To finish off the threat after President Trump said the mission may be ending very soon.
We've wiped every single force in Iran out very completely.
Taking out layers of leaders, most of Iran's missile supply, production, army, and navy. And if Iran tries to attack oil shipping,
they'll get hit at a much, much harder level.
And the president says he's unhappy that the son of the Ayatollah was the choice for a supreme leader, saying, "I don't think he can live in peace." Oil prices dropping back again today, bobbing around $89 after topping 100, but instead of gas prices dropping, AAA finds pump prices jumped to nickel again overnight. America's listening to Fox News.
Always here, always local.
From the Access WDUN Hardy Chevrolet newsroom, I'm Steve Winslow, and just days after a prank turned into a tragic accident in North Hall County, the families of both the teacher and student involved have released statements. WDUN's William Daughtry reports.
The family of North Hall High School teacher and coach Jason Hughes told the New York Times Monday that they do not want charges pressed against 18-year-old Jaden Wallace. Authorities said Wallace had pulled a prank at Hughes' home and was driving away when Hughes began to run alongside his vehicle. Hughes then fell in front of the vehicle and was run over and killed. Wallace was arrested on charges including vehicular homicide, reckless driving, and trespassing. He also issued a statement Monday saying he is grieving Hughes' death and wants to honor his memory moving forward.
An officer-involved shooting left the suspect injured Sunday afternoon in Pickens County, according to GBI authorities, as Jasper police responded to a call alleging 33-year-old Chase Benham of Jasper had damaged a vehicle and tried to set it on fire at a Waffle House on Highway 515. Benham allegedly threw knives at the officers, who later approached him, and Jasper police then shot at him, striking him once. Benham was later treated for non-life-threatening injuries. And a former EPA scientist is throwing his hat into the political ring to be the next Georgia U.S. Congressman of the 7th District. Larry Long is a running Democrat, and more details on his campaign can be found with more news at Access WDUN. Now here's your Access WDUN forecast.
A mix of clouds and sunshine with a shower chance this morning. Otherwise, partly to mostly cloudy skies, upper 70s. Tonight, partly to mostly cloudy skies, low 60s by early tomorrow. From the Access WDUN Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Holly Strano.
In Commerce, 63 degrees, Blairsville, 59, and in Gainesville, 62. From North Georgia's News Talk, AM 550 and FM 102.9 WDUN.
You don't need the luck of the Irish or follow the rainbow to find a pot of gold.
Just get to Krause Family Hyundai of Gainesville, where you'll get 115% of book value for your trade. And during our Saving of the Green sales event, discover as low as 0% APR financing on popular models like the 2026 Santa Fe. Plus, you get America's best warranty, a 10-year, 100,000-mile limited powertrain warranty, and Hyundai Assurance. Don't just wear green. Come save green at Krause Family Hyundai on Atlanta Highway, off I-985 in Gainesville, or visit KrauseFamilyHyundai.com for full details.
Building, moving, remodeling, they all create more waste than will fit in your average garbage can. Thank goodness for Waste Eliminator. They offer roll-off dumpsters in all sizes. Just visit wasteeliminator.com, click on Order Dumpster, and they'll deliver just what you need. From simple home cleanout to large commercial projects, Waste Eliminator handles it all. Schedule your roll-off dumpster today at wasteeliminator.com. Environmentally responsible and committed to customer service. It's Waste Eliminator.
Use the Access WDUN Talk and Text line, presented by M&R Rental at 770-535-2911, and be part of the conversation. From the Northeast Georgia Health System studio in downtown Gainesville, it's the Martha Zoller Show on AM 550 and FM 102.9 WDUN.
Bill Maher was not happy when this reporter said that he just wasn't understanding modern liberalism.
Don't get what? Abolish the police? Tear down statues of Lincoln? Maybe give communism another shot? Get rid of the border patrol? Get rid of capitalism? White supremacy has never been worse? Gender is always just a social construct? It's okay to have penises in the women's swimming pool in women's prisons? Okay, no, it's not that I'm old. It's that your ideas are stupid.
It is the Martha Zoller Show, and I'm here with Scott Soracco, who is running for State House in District 29. It's the first time in a while that a Democrat has qualified, and so we wanted to get to know him. So, Scott, welcome to the program.
Hi, good morning. Thank you for having me on.
So tell us a little bit about you and why you're running for State House.
Well, I had about 27 years with the Army as a commissioned officer, and when I finished that, I was able to get into the FEMA Emergency Management Agency as an operations section chief, where for 11 years I did over 50 national disasters, traveling between Georgia all the way out to Hawaii with the Lahaina fire. So I got a chance to see America, something you don't often see. And the fun there was that in that job especially, I got to work with all levels of government. Although FEMA comes in to work with the state emergency manager and the governor are the ones that invite us in after they get a declaration. A lot of work goes on with the counties and the cities and all the way down to the local level. I mean, I've even had relations with the permitting offices trying to get housing and those kind of things set up. So running with the staff and with all those folks, you run across a lot of different people and a lot of different ideas, cultures, religions. It's amazing what's in this country. I finished with FEMA. I retired and decided, now what do I do that I'm retired? And I thought, I've always been interested in how politics works because so many people don't know how. I've had people tell me that Georgia doesn't have a General Assembly. You have to go to Congress. What? Wait, what?
Yeah.
Of course we have a General Assembly. We have senators. We have governors. So I had looked into it, and I got a call out of the blue one day from a Democratic Party called the Fighting 50 PAC. And what they were trying to do is find someone to run against the incumbents who never had anybody run against them in, I think, over 90 of our districts here for Georgia. So they called me and asked if I could come and would I be interested. And I said, well, I know nothing about it. We'll help you. We'll teach you how to qualify for ethics and finance. And there's some training out there. So I've been learning that, watching a lot of YouTube videos too, because there's stuff out there. And that's what got me involved.
So tell me, so were you involved with the Democratic Party at that point, and that's why this PAC called you? Because you said to me when we were talking that you more vote for the person. You don't consider yourself really a party person, but you did qualify in the Democratic Party. So how did that happen?
Well, as we had talked, yes, I have always voted for the candidate. I believe you should vote for the person, woman, man, whoever it is that's running. Pick the one that you believe is best to express your voice and your choice in the job you're looking at. But so many people don't even know who's running. They go in the voting thing and they circle a name or pick a party, which is fine. It's your choice. You the people run the government. We just need to get more people involved. So I got involved because the Democratic Party is the one that called me, and they said they'd support me.
So you weren't involved with the Democratic Party at all before that?
I've never been involved in either party.
So I wonder how they found you.
Well, I had made some phone calls to see how to get involved, and maybe my name popped up somewhere in the last 2 or 3 years.
That makes sense.
I even went by Hall County.
Had you been to a Hall County Democrat Party meeting?
I had never been to any meetings with any party. But
have you participated in any of the protests out here?
At the time, I've done no protests at the time, and I was going to go to. No, that wasn't even a protest. That was the Martin Luther King March. I did do that one. I was there at that one.
No, I'm just curious how all that happens.
But the other ones, I've been out of town on other trips, and I hear we have one coming up later in the month as well. Was it a No Kings rally, I think, coming up?
It's so ridiculous. I'm sorry. That's right. There are no kings in America. Okay, people think, now I will say though, and we'll talk about the State House again in a minute, I think Congress has given up a lot of its power to the executive branch. But that's not just because it's Donald Trump. It's been happening for the last 25 years that the Congress has been giving a lot more power to the executive branch. And if you give power to a branch of government, you can't expect them not to use it. Okay, that's why the individual branches of government need to use the power that they have.
That's why we have 3 different branches.
That's right.
Stand up and do your job and represent the people. That's the whole idea of this government in America.
So, what do you see as your platform running as a Democrat in State House 29?
The biggest things I want to do is make sure people are voting. They know how to vote. I hear there may be changes coming on how the system works. We don't know what they all are. Get registered, make sure you can vote, and show up to the polls and express your voice. That's number one. Second thing for me is at the State House itself, I understand we run the budget. I want to make sure that we're funding things appropriately. I know there's concerns about health care, freedom of choice. I believe you should have a freedom of choice with what you do with your body. That's between you, your doctor, and your religious values. The government doesn't have to pay for all your operations if they don't make, certain sense. But you should be able to get what you want from the medical society and not have the government come in and tell you what to do and what you can and can't do with some of these choices.
Are you on Medicare?
I am not on Medicare.
Not Medicare yet? Okay,
No.
So get ready. When you get on Medicare, they have all kinds of say-so about what you can do and what order you have to do it in. I just had a heart attack, and as part of the kind of follow-through, they want to make sure I don't have anything gastro going on, and so I got a barium swallow ordered so they could take a look and all of that. I got called that Medicare requires you to have a speech pathology screening before you get a barium swallow. And I'm like, what? How does that? And so I just said, you know what? I'm going to wait until I see my gastroenterologist in a couple of months and ask him about it and see what he thinks. Because it doesn't make any sense to me that you have to have this one test before you have this other test.
And I've learned about Medicare because I moved my aging mother from Oregon to Georgia last year, and she's on Medicare.
Yes.
And I understand those
complicated.
challenges. It is.
Very complicated.
And she still has the copay for this and that. And you're like, wait, you're paying for what?
Yes.
And then all those prescription medications. My understanding with the healthcare side of America is that Medicaid, Medicare, people throw it all together.
Yeah.
But like Medicaid expansion, I understand it wasn't done.
No.
Does that affect hospitals throughout the state of Georgia? I mean, I represent in this job Gainesville, Oakwood, and just the northern part of Flowery Branch, but it affects the whole state.
But we got a waiver for our own program, which is called Georgia Access. You should look it up.
Right.
And so what it does is we provide our own program, our own state-run program that would expand Medicaid. It's not Medicaid per se, but it's private insurers. So, and I think about 1.4 million people have signed up for Georgia Access. It was a little slow starting, but I like the idea of people being able to pick their own. That's, I'm more of a free market person. I like people to be able to pick their own.
Yeah, it's capitalism. That's how it's supposed to work.
That's how it's supposed to. So you are a capitalist.
I am a capitalist for America. Now,
That's
the
right.
challenge we run into is, what does all this stuff cost? How does it affect the state? And I keep hearing about all these cuts. Oh, we don't need the income tax. We don't need to have a property tax.
Well, I mean, it's being debated.
How are we going to get the? Yeah, it's being
being
debated.
debated, which is what you would be doing if
Exactly.
you. Yeah.
And the whole idea is to work together to find out how can we solve the issue. And that's what I've been doing my whole life, is take a complex issue, get the facts, and move forward with the choice that helps everybody as a benefit. Listen to constituents. It's not there for me to express my own opinion and go my way. I'm there to represent you, the people.
So you also told me when we were talking that you had someone kind of whisper in your ear, and I've had those people do that for me. You don't have a chance in this district. I know you've heard that from other people. As you've been campaigning around, though, because I'm sure right now what your concern is the Democratic primary, which it looks like you have no opposition in the Democratic primary, so you can spend your time now going around talking to groups. So how has that gone, and who have you talked to so far?
Getting the name out there is the first thing. Letting people know that I'm actually out there running and I'm on the Democratic side.
Right.
So I got involved in the Hall County Democratic group that's doing that. I've met folks in Invisible Hall, which is not a political organization as I understand totally, but they've had some speakers come. So I've had a chance to participate in the back and listen to some of the candidates that are running for other positions. And being new at all this, it's learning that stump speech and how to do that 2-minute what you stand for
Elevator
and what
speech,
I want to do.
yeah.
The challenge is some people want to know what issues. I'm learning the issues, like we just talked about, the whole medical stuff. There's a lot. I've learned so much in the last 3 months, just education alone. Like the 1985, they formed that QEB of how we're going to do education in the state of Georgia. And people think property tax does all that. It doesn't.
No.
The state has to throw money too.
It's state and property, and it's roughly 55% of the budget is education,
Exactly.
K through 12 and post-secondary. So it's a lot. And, I'm on the State Board of Education, and I can tell you the first time I had to do a vote on multi-billion-dollar funding, I mean, I broke out in a sweat because it was like so much money.
Right.
And I did all the research and it provided me with all the stuff I needed to know about it, but it was still, I understand why the State Board of Education term is 7 years, because it takes about 3 years to figure out what you're supposed to do, and then you can kind of ride into what you're supposed to do.
I used to think $1 million was a lot until I became a financial consultant in Buckhead. And in those years, I realized that $1 million is not a lot. You can barely retire on that if that's your only kind of income you got coming in. And then I got involved in FEMA, and as the ops chief, my job is to deploy federal agencies. I can grab any agency we need and send them. I mean, the Smithsonian Institute can be asked to come to a disaster to teach you how to maintain your family records, photos, that kind of stuff. Well, we spend a lot of money in FEMA, and that comes from the disaster fund. It's not part of the DHS stuff.
And you know what I think is so crazy about that is that you're going to have X number of disasters every year. Why is every disaster like a crisis and they need more money? It seems to me that probably over time, okay, sure, there's big spikes like the fires in Hawaii, the fires in California, maybe like some of the hurricanes we have. There probably are spikes. But over time, I bet you can predict just about how much money you're going to need on an annual basis. And I don't know why they don't go ahead and just fund that as opposed to everything being a crisis.
That's for the federal level to decide
That's
on how
right.
they do
That's
it.
right. That's right.
My job was the fiscal responsibility of trying to spend the money correctly. I mean, I know we have a lot of expensive agencies like the Corps of Engineers. They do a great job. But a lot of the states can prepare in advance by getting contractors lined up before the storm and agree on prices.
And we do a pretty good job of that around here. I mean,
and Georgia especially,
you know,
I've worked with the EMA many times on 3 different disasters. They
know
know their job.
When Hurricane Sandy came along, it was funny because, you know, all the electric companies from down here went up there to help. And basically they were like, hey, get out of the way. We know how to restore power because we have thunderstorms, we have tornadoes, we have hurricanes, and we have to restore power a lot in the Southeast. And so we're good at it. Get out of the way. We'll get it done. And they did. So if people want to help you, how can they do that?
I'll have the webpage stuff. I'm still working on some changes to that to make it a little more exciting.
Okay.
All is well. And you've got the Vote for Soracco, and that's vote with the number 4. Vote for Soracco will get you to the webpage. And on there, you'll find a link to Facebook. But also there's a donation. Click there. So you can help me by donations. As they say, even $3 helps.
Yes.
More is better. But hey, I am happy to take 3. That lets me know you at least care enough. These things are expensive. I like I said, I've learned a lot in 3 months of how it all works.
Yeah.
And then you got to decide, are you going to do, the door-to-door campaign, of course, is probably the best way to go about doing it with no cost. And that takes the time, and you get volunteers to come help you. We can do telephone calling. We can do texting. There's the mailing. I'm sure a lot of folks are getting a lot of mail from some of the candidates going for governor and lieutenant governor. Oh, I get one almost every day in the mail.
Yes.
So it gives me ideas of what I might want to read, and it's good education
there's
on
so
that.
there's so many candidates on both sides. I think it's going to be really interesting, especially on the Democratic side for governor, is that everybody thinks that Keisha Lance Bottoms is going to be like, she's got at about 40%. I think, honestly, she left such a bad taste in the mouth of the Atlantans because of the way she handled the final year and a half of her term. I just don't. I don't see it. Jeff Duncan, is trying to be the white savior. We'll see what happens with that. And who I worry the most about is Michael Thurmond, if you want to know the truth. And here's why. There are still 1 million or more Republican voters in DeKalb, Fulton, and Cobb. Democrats outnumber us 2-1. But if he can peel off, because he was very successful there, 100 or 200,000, squishy Republican women, and get them to vote for him, then it could be a very interesting thing.
The hardest part is just getting the name out there.
Getting the name out there.
Soracco, Soracco.
Yours should be easy to remember. It kind of rolls off the tongue. Scott Soracco. Yeah. The problem you're going to have is people are going to spell it wrong when they're Googling for you, and hopefully, you'll be able to get around that, I'm sure.
It's the voting. When you get to the ballot, it's the one that says Soracco. It's easy to see. Just pick that one.
Absolutely. Listen, again, give them the website one more time.
Vote for, that's the number 4, Soracco, and that's Soracco.
Great. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you for having me come on. This has been wonderful, exciting.
Thank you. I'm glad. We'll take a break.
It's knowledge you won't find anywhere else.
If you walk out of your home on a July day and you can see your breath, you probably didn't brush.
It's Mornings on Main Street with Bill Main. Weekdays on North Georgia's News Talk, WDUN.
What if my parents suddenly need help? This is Kevin Tharp, elder law and estate planning attorney, and I've helped many people in your situation. With sound advice and planning, there's no reason why you can't help your loved ones as they need extended care late in life. It's up to you, however, to make the first call. Visit my website at kevintharp.com and learn how to get help planning for your family's future.
We're talking with Mike Robertson of Oakwood Tire & More. And Mike, I understand you guys have moved. Where can we find you?
3440 Mabry Road, which is right off of Mountain View.
Still offering the same services?
We won't be doing alignments, but we'll be doing tires. Tires, brakes, batteries, tune-ups, those kind of things that normal maintenance repair.
Sounds good. Give us the address one more time. Make sure we don't miss out.
You can find us at 3440 Mabry Road at oakwoodtire.com or even the same phone number, 770-535-0943.
You've got meals to plan, children to ferry from practice to ball games, shopping and dusting, and good grief,
grief. Give yourself a break and take your laundry to Townview Coin Laundry. Take your comforters, quilts, blankets, and mattress covers. They'll wash, dry, and fold your laundry, or you can use their industrial-sized machines. Townview Coin Laundry saves wear and tear on your washer and dryer and on you, too. Get the stains out at Townview Coin Laundry at the corner of Bradford Street and College Avenue in downtown Gainesville, open from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m.
Hi, I'm John Shackelford, Executive Director of Eagle Ranch. For families in the middle of a struggle, knowing what is needed and where to go for help can be hard. To support these families, we created First Step Counseling. This new program allows families looking for help to meet with an Eagle Ranch counselor to share their story and make a plan for healing and renewal before starting therapy. Counselors are standing by and ready to meet with you and your family in person within a few days, so no long wait list. And like all Eagle Ranch services, no one is turned away because of financial constraints. Schedule a call with our First Step team today by going to eagleranch.org.
Some car dealers want to sell you a car. At Hardy Chevrolet, we'd rather help you find the vehicle that's right for you. This is Mike Cormier. We call it the Hardy Chevrolet difference. Since you're the one who will be in the driver's seat of that new Chevy, we think you should be in the driver's seat when it comes to making the selection. It's like Charles Hardy always said,
we love you and we need you.
Together, let's drive. At Hardy Chevrolet, Browns Bridge Road in Gainesville, online at hardychevrolet.com.
Always here, always local.
From the Access WDUN Harding Chevrolet newsroom, families on both sides of the North Hall High School tragic accident Friday have issued statements this week. Details at Access WDUN and coming up on North Georgia's News Talk.
It's the Martha Zoller Show, presented by Gainesville Mechanical, from the Northeast Georgia Health System studio in downtown Gainesville on AM 550 and FM 102.9 WDUN.
Religion broke our lives, broke the back of everything we held certain. And we came to America looking for the American dream, but we actually found something so much bigger. So I graduated from high school, popular. I was just this kid who partied a lot. One night after high school, I was smoking weed with a buddy of mine. While we were smoking weed, he invited me to church. And I said, I hate God. I'm Muslim by heritage, but I saw religion gone wrong in Iran, and I want to have nothing to do with them. He told me the 5 prettiest girls from my high school were going to be there, so I felt kind of motivated. So on a Saturday night, I know my dad's going to say no, but I'm trying to get my buddy off my back. And instead of saying no, my dad yells from his bed, "What is the name of it?" He's asking the name of the church. And what I didn't know, 2 weeks prior to that Saturday night, Josh, there were these people from this church, Shades Mountain Baptist Church, down the street from my home, that had come to my dad's restaurant to eat. They'd seen how my dad was shorthanded on wait staff, and instead of complaining about the bad service, they rolled up their sleeves and waited on tables at my dad's restaurant. Then they went back the next day and did it again.
Let's go.
They went back the next day and did it again. And then at the end, Aubrey Edwards invited my dad to choir practice. Dad went to choir practice. At the end of choir practice, Aubrey put a piece of paper out into the choir, and people signed up to work for free as shifts for busboys and waiters at my dad's restaurant to help him. So God in his sovereignty had used that to tenderize my dad's heart. Fast forward 2 weeks later, I'm asking if I can go to church. He goes, "What is the name of it?" My buddy yells out the name Shades, and it's the same one. And so my dad goes, "I know those people. You can go there." And so I got...
It is the Martha Zoller Show. That's David Nasser, who is an Iranian immigrant and were Muslim by tradition. And he and his entire family have converted to Christianity, including his father. And it's a pretty powerful statement about how all those things came together. And I know we're talking a lot about Islamophobia again. Okay, it's a buzzword. Just pay attention. It's a buzzword throughout the country again. Progressives especially, because they always have to accuse you of being against somebody. But as the point I was making before is that if you come to America, I mean, I get it. If you go to most cities that weren't burned down in the Civil War, if you go to most cities, there are Germantown and Chinatown and Little Italy, and there might be a Mediterranean section and that kind of thing where people share their foods, go and do things, but they still came and they wanted to be Americans. In the Biden years, and I hate to even refer to the Biden administration because it's been more than a year we've been out of it, but in the Biden years, there were a lot of people that came in, and some degree to the Obama years, but he did at least deport people that didn't didn't hold the law. So at least that happened. But during the Biden years, there were a lot of people that came in, and I'm not as worried about the people we know that came across the border, that we the 2.8 million a year that we know came across the border. I'm worried about that, but I'm not as worried about that as I am about the million gotaways that were people that the Border Patrol saw but just couldn't get to, and that was an estimated number. So who knows if it's 1 million, if it's 2 million, if it's 500,000. We don't know. But in those groups of people, there were a lot of military-aged men, and we see this not only in the United States, but also in Canada, in Norway, in Sweden, in the UK, in France, and you see it in their policy where now, there are places in that have Muslim communities where they don't want people to be able to own dogs because they don't like dogs, or they don't want restaurants to serve pork even if it's not a Muslim restaurant or an ethnic restaurant that serves food to Muslims. They want you to do the things that they want you to do, and then they say that it's okay for them to lie to you about what their intentions are because you're an infidel. And these guys that were arrested in New York City a couple of days ago, they talked. They sung like canaries, okay? As soon as they got into custody, go look at their statements. But they said, yeah, we want to take over. Yeah, we're going to make sure everybody's Muslim. I mean, just the list went on and on and on. And that's not what freedom of religion is. Freedom of religion means you get to be in the religion that you want to be in without interference from someone else. It's not coming over and saying you got to convert or die. And that's just the thing we're going to be worrying about. And there's a heightened level of it because of what's going on in Iran. And I think we're coming close to a close there. We'll talk more about it. We'll be back.
This is Grant Nichols, and at Loretta's Country Kitchen, we know life can really pile up. There's work, getting the kids to practice, shopping. With all that, the week can really wear you out. The last thing you want to do is spend Saturday in the kitchen. Not to worry, we have you covered with Saturday lunch at Loretta's. That's right, not only are we open for breakfast on Saturdays, we're also serving up lunch from 11 a.m. till 2 p.m. Give your kitchen and your family a break with Saturday lunch at Loretta's Country Kitchen, Mundy Mow Road, Oakwood, where it's all good.
Hey, can you blow up some balloons for Jack's party?
I can't. I'm so congested.
You need Sinex Saline from Vicks.
Sinex Saline Nasal Spray?
Yeah, just Sinex. Breathe.
Sinex Saline instantly clears everyday congestion associated with colds and year-round allergies with a gentle, ultra-fine mist that's no mess and easy to control.
Daddy, we need more balloons.
On it.
Enjoy life's important moments without congestion. Try Sinex Saline from Vicks. Just Sinex. Breathe. Use as directed.
I move mountains for a living. Literally. That means I don't carry hand lotion, and when it comes to serious heartburn, I don't mess around with anything but Rolaids. Rolaids' dual-active formula has calcium carbonate and magnesium hydroxide that relieves heartburn fast. Yeah, you heard right. 2 actives for that powerful relief. And the best part? The roll fits right here in my pocket, so I can get back to moving mountains.
Rolaid spells powerful relief. Read each label. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
WDUN Gainesville, WDUN FM Clarksville, Gainesville. Always here, always local.
It's 10 o'clock.
Iran is losing badly. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. That's what the War Secretary says on day 11.
Today will be, yet again, our most intense day of strikes inside Iran.
And Pete Hegseth says as Iran counterattacks, they target civilians in Gulf countries.
Like the terrorist cowards they are, they fire missiles from schools and hospitals.
The secretary says the U.S. and Israel keep targeting Iran's missiles and launchers and destroying its navy and trying to prevent Iran from making nuclear weapons.
President Trump will never allow it.
Fox's Rich Edson reports from the White House the president's also threatening a fiercer war over oil.
Iran is effectively blocking the Strait of Hormuz. That's where a fifth of the world's oil and gas typically transits. The president posted, quote, if Iran does anything that stops the flow of oil within the Strait of Hormuz, they will be hit by the United States of America 20 times harder than they have been hit thus far. It's unclear if the president's warning is enough to deter attacks from Iran's leadership or persuade shipping companies to resume traveling through the strait.
The price of oil is down this morning, back to around $87 a barrel. Yesterday it spiked over 100. The war with Iran's led to drama down under. That's in Australia. People were protesting, trying to block a bus taking the Iran women's national soccer team to the airport. 5 players have been granted asylum to stay in Australia. The rest appear to have declined that amid threats to their families after the team caused controversy, refusing to sing the Iran national anthem before a tournament match last week. Could be another frustrating day at American airports.
The lines here in Atlanta, not bad right now, but in places like the Houston airport and New Orleans, travelers have been dealing with massive TSA lines for days. We're talking waiting for hours, as TSA agents have been dealing with only partial paychecks, and things could get worse as workers will soon get an empty paycheck if the shutdown continues.
Fox's Madison Scarpino. That pay held up as Democrats block Homeland Security funding in Congress. America's listening to Fox News.
Always here, always local.
From the Access WDUN Hardy Chevrolet newsroom, I'm Steve Winslow. And 3 days after a prank turned into a tragic accident in northern Hall County, the families of both the teacher and student involved have released statements. WDUN's Caleb Hutchins with more.
The family of North Hall High School teacher and coach Jason Hughes told the New York Times Monday that they do not want charges pressed against 18-year-old Jaden Wallace. Authorities said Wallace had pulled a prank at Hughes' home and was driving away when Hughes began to run alongside his vehicle. Hughes then fell in front of the vehicle and was run over and killed. Wallace was arrested on charges including vehicular homicide, reckless driving, and trespassing. He also issued a statement Monday saying he's grieving Hughes' death and wants to honor his memory moving forward.
City of Oakwood is now urging the Department of Homeland Security to stop all action on the proposed ICE facility, citing a lack of information and over $5 million in direct and indirect funding. After the meeting, 9th District Democrat congressional candidate Nick Alex called the dozens of residents showing up in opposition democracy in action.
Was a part of a group of folks who pushed for the deferment or the delay of the Oakwood facility. So this is democracy in action.
Now, the city is urging Hall County, the city of Gainesville, and the city of Flowery Branch to pass similar measures. Jackson County's Board of Education is preparing its leadership roles for its newest high school while sustaining experience in an existing high school for the next year. WDUN's Logan Landers reports.
Jackson County Board of Education on Monday night took a major step in opening the system's third high school through the approval of Melissa Gillespie as Houston High School's inaugural principal. In the process, the board named Lev Hartnup as Gillespie's successor as Jackson County High School principal beginning in July. The board also approved Ryan Levniak, current assistant principal at Jackson County High School, as Houston High School's first athletic director starting in January.
And affordability is top of mind for most Americans, and candidates are responding, as Larry Long is a Democratic candidate for U.S. House District 7, which contains Western Hall County, and says the focus needs to be on the working class.
I really think that we need to focus on the working class and a livable wage. We've got to have a livable wage.
Long is in a four-way race for the May 19th primary in the Democratic ticket, with incumbent Republican Rich McCormick running unopposed. More news at Access WDUN. Now here's your Access WDUN weather forecast.
North Georgia, we've got a mix of clouds and sunshine with a shower chance this morning. Otherwise, partly to mostly cloudy skies to upper 70s. From the Access WDUN Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Holly Strano.
In Sugar Hill, 66 degrees, and in Gainesville, 64. From North Georgia's News Talk, AM 550 and FM 102.9 WDUN.
Welcome back, people. I'm here with the one and only lottery-winning, pink-haired, 80-year-old rap sensation who just won $1 million every year for the rest of her life. And Edith.
Hi, darling. I'm just living out my dreams.
And dropping a new single.
I'll be a millionaire as long as pink's in my hair. Millionaire for what? Millionaire for life.
Her fans are gonna love love that.
With $1 million every year, my bank account loves it too.
Get your chance to win $1 million every year for the rest of your life. Play the Millionaire for Life game, only from the Georgia Lottery. Please play responsibly. Always check and sign your ticket.
Got a scratcher that didn't win? Well, now you can play it once again. That's right. All non-winning scratchers at any price point can be entered to win the rolling jackpot. Visit GALottery.com for details and to enter. The rolling jackpot. Another way to win from the Georgia Lottery.
Tune in to WSB Channel 2 for your official Georgia Lottery drawing and check out the Players Club at GALottery.com.
Talking about the issues that affect you most. It's the Martha Zoller Show, presented by Gainesville Mechanical. Now from the Northeast Georgia Health System studio in downtown Gainesville, here's Martha Zoller on AM 550 and FM 102.9 WDUN. Always here, always local.
So let's talk about one of the items in that provides for public school students to engage in political speech and political activities.
Yeah, right.
Talk about that a little bit.
Well, I mean, I think what so many times that people want to shut down political speech, especially in Christian-based speech, in a lot of the school systems, and so we don't want it to interfere with classroom work, obviously. But it's just like clubs that you have within the schools. They ought to be able to have a club that talks about American exceptionalism and talks about Christianity and your religious beliefs.
Okay. So that is the Lieutenant Governor speaking to Donna Lowry from lawmakers to talk about the True Patriotism and Universal Student Access Act, which was inspired by Charlie Kirk's efforts to bring both the Word of God and the truth of conservative values to school campuses across America through open discussion and debate. That was passed on Wednesday, so it will have to be passed on the House side and also do that. So it's interesting to see how this all plays out, because I think that, you ought to be able to have clubs in schools, and they have to be age appropriate and idea appropriate, right? So remember back a number of years ago, there were some of these gay and lesbian clubs. And again, if gay and lesbian people want to, I know that's so out of touch, LGBTQ people want to be in a club with them, a club and have a support group or something like that, I think that's perfectly okay. But the problem with those clubs was they were keeping from the parents that the child was in the club. It's the same problem that you have with the issues around transgender, where, again, I'm sure there is a very small number. 97% of the cases of kids that think they're transgender, if they go into therapy, 97% of those kids decide not to transition, and they realize that there's some other type of emotional problem that they have that's making them feel that way. And so, I can accept that there might be 1 or 2 or 3% of kids that talk this way that actually do have an issue that they may want to change, but they shouldn't be able to change those things until they're an adult. And they should not be able to hide, the school system should not be able to hide from their parents what they are doing. Many years ago, I was taking my niece shopping, and she got in the car with me, and basically she started changing her clothes in the car. And I know this is a much smaller example than what I'm talking about, but it was like, she was like, oh yeah, my mom won't let me wear these clothes, so I'm getting in the car with you. And I'm like, hey, if your mom's not going to let you wear these clothes, she's my sister, I'm not going to let you wear these clothes. Okay, so you've got to be supportive of parents, and parents have the final word. And I'm really sick and tired of parents being painted as being bad if they don't coddle every wish and desire of their child. There are some things that you're not old enough to make that decision is a perfectly fine answer. It means you don't get your way at every single point. I was watching my grandson, who was trying to negotiate for a new bat. And the bat he was picking, and he's playing Major League Ball now, and and not Major League like Braves baseball, but in the age range he's in. And he, has a bat he's been using for a while. It needs a new grip. It needs this. It needs that. But this bat he picked out was like $400. And his mom and dad said, look, I need to see some improvement in your batting before I'm going to agree to buy you a new bat. And his mom said that a poor athlete blames their equipment. And I think that's a really good thing to say. But my point about this is, as a kid, big or small, you don't get everything you want. And it's a perfectly fine answer to say you're not old enough for this and you'll have to make this decision later. But what happened for a blip of time between like 2015 and 2020 and maybe a little later, people that were supposed to have the best interest of these children at heart started telling the parents, if you don't acquiesce to every single thing that these children want, they're going to commit suicide. And so a lot of parents agreed to things that they didn't think were right because if they're presented with the idea, okay, I could live with this situation or my child's going to commit suicide. Well, the fact of the matter is these children are more likely to commit suicide after they transition, not before. Because guess what? Changing the way they look doesn't solve their problems. In fact, changing the way you look usually doesn't solve your problems. If you've got a problem that is getting you to the point of anxiety, depression, all of those kinds of things, it's probably something you need to work on with therapy, not something you need to work on with how people see you in the world. So we've got to stand behind parents, and we've got to let them do what they're going to do. So I'm in support of this bill. I think it's fine, but you just got to be careful of the door you open, because if you're promoting Christian values in a club in school, then there's going to be some other group that's going to want to promote their values in school. And as long as you're allowing the parents to know if the kid's in the club, then I think that it will probably be okay. It will probably be okay. Now, I'm going to have a little fun here for a minute because, Jerry Seinfeld has been at the tip of the spear ever since October 7th because everywhere he goes, he gets heckled. He gets these people track where he goes. He's a famous guy, so he has a tour schedule, and so they track it. And he makes some funny jokes about, hey, you had to pay a lot of money to get in here so you could heckle me, so that was good. But he also is just a really funny comedian that talks about important things. And even in just a few seconds, he can really pull the curtain back on something. He was on Jimmy Fallon a couple of nights ago, and he was talking about AI. And here's what he said.
If I got this right, yes, we're smart enough to invent AI, dumb enough to need it, and so stupid we can't figure out if we did the right thing.
So, Logan, I got to ask you this because I've started to use AI a little bit.
Right.
Okay. Actually, Greg Bluestein, when he called me after I had the heart attack, he says, you know what? I haven't done this yet, but I've been thinking about doing my show prep because he has a show he does twice a week on AI where you just put the topics in you want to talk about and then you let AI do the research. You still have to check it.
Oh, of course.
Because they're not always right. In fact, they have a little disclaimer at the end when you use Gemini or something like that says, check major facts,
right,
to be sure it's correct. So I thought that was funny. We're smart enough to create it, dumb enough to know we need to use it, and we're not sure if we did the right thing.
Right. Yeah, and I don't know, because it kind of happened, I was young whenever Google came around, and, kind of just internet
Mr.
search.
Google, hey, Mr. Google.
But I can imagine just looking at it now with, ChatGPT, Gemini, et cetera, that, if you go to type something into your internet and you say, all right, let's see if this is accurate or not, you kind of believe it. But like you said, you also have to back that up with other, various sources. And I mean, to me, I've always done that, not just being here as a journalist, but just in my day-to-day life.
I think most process questions, and what I mean by that is like I asked about an app that I use called WhatsApp. Do they have a browser form of WhatsApp? Okay, I think those kind of questions pretty much are accurate all the time. They're kind of yes or no questions. When you start asking them to give you context on issues, that's when you got to really look. So they found out in a lot of these A lot of law firms are getting rid of paralegals because, quote, AI can do it. But what they found out was that AI was making up cases and somebody wasn't checking it. And so when they would present the argument to the judge would be like, what is this case?
Right. I'm about to say, we're not perfect yet,
No,
obviously. This
no.
is still in its infancy.
And look,
it's going to get better.
I'm going to go out on a limb here, though. I don't think any machine-generated thought process is going to be as good as a human thought process.
No, I'm with you on that.
Because I don't think machine-generated thought processes can consider new information and change their mind. And that's why this getting to each other and doing things for yourself is really, really important because AI can't do everything.
No,
you think
it can't.
It can, but it can't.
And I mean, we've seen it in, TV shows, movies, commercials, you name it. They've already started putting that in for, background actors, or if it's like a horror movie or whatever, you see they'll use it for the villain. And so, I mean, it's being used in pop culture every single day. You see a lot of artists utilize it both for music as well as for, their various drawings and whatnot. But like I said, it's to me, it's just scary because of the fact of how advanced it already is quick.
I don't know if you've seen on social media, which yesterday was day one of me going home, putting my phone on the counter in the kitchen, just like when you used to have a phone in your kitchen, and that's where you had it, and not using it all throughout the afternoon and evening unless I was there with it in the kitchen. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
So I did that, but I just think you can't just be so involved in it that you forget it. So I sent this around to my kids yesterday because this is like looking back at the 90s, and I wanted to play this because it'll make you smile, and then we'll go to break.
Wait, so you're telling me in the future people just stare at a little box all day, inside and outside?
And in the future you don't even own the music, you just pay every month to borrow it? Like, if you stop paying, the music just disappears?
Wait, so before people eat, they take a picture of the food and show strangers? And the strangers like and comment on it? So in the future, everyone has their own phone and they use it to type messages instead of call? And if someone calls you without typing it first, it's considered rude? So you're telling me in the future people just post their diary for everyone to see?
Some people get paid for it.
For their diary? And in the future, a little box just tells you where to go, turn by turn, and people still get lost? If you want food from a restaurant, you just tap the box and a stranger brings it to your door, and you pay extra for that, and then you rate the stranger? Our moms always say don't talk to strangers, but in the future, everyone just talks to strangers all day on the little box and shows them their house and their kids? So in the future, nobody ever just sits with the quiet? Like ever? That sounds really exhausting. In the future, everyone's connected to everything, and people are still lonely? Okay, but do we at least still stay outside until the streetlights come on?
Okay, so I love this. That one where the kid says he's exhausting. He's just laying outside the grass. And I can't remember. I mean, I remember how many times I did that. You'd be a hot day. You'd been running around playing all day long. And then you just lay down in the cool grass.
Oh, it feels so great.
And bugs would crawl all over you, but you didn't worry about it. I mean, it was just different.
That's it. Mom had the ointment inside. You'd be fine.
We can't stay out until the street lights come out. It was just great. I sent this to my kids, and they were like, yeah, the 90s were great. I mean, it was great. And there's a lot of these kid videos out there now that I know have got to be all AI because they are like 18-month-old kids talking about their new brothers and sisters.
Oh,
and
of course.
Thing. Just too verbal for the size child it is. And the faces are all so perfect. And they're like, it's a little creepy, kind of like anime.
It's a little too perfect.
I tried to watch an anime movie with my grandchildren this past weekend. It was extremely creepy.
Yeah.
And it was kind of dark. Are all the themes of these anime movies dark?
I wouldn't say all. They're
end of the world kind of stuff?
No, I wouldn't say all of them. I would say, it's like movie genres, you pick whichever one you feel like.
Okay, that's fair. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we'll talk more. You can join us on the phones at 770-535-2911. You can also text us at that number. Like, you mean you text first before you call? If you don't, that's rude. We'll take a break.
It's your daily civics lesson.
It's mentioned in the Constitution. The feds have final say over it, and immigration is one of those things mentioned in the Constitution.
It's the Martha Zoller Show, weekdays at 9 on North Georgia's News Talk, WDUN.
Hi, this is Cal Cooley with Electronic Sales Company, and joining me today is Charlie Bramwell, Director of Interactive Neighborhood for Kids, better known as INC around here. When we help move your burglar alarm, fire alarm, cameras, and all the other things, I had no idea how impressive and big Inc. has become. Where's your new location?
We moved to Oakwood, center of Oakwood.
Got anything special coming up?
Yes, sir. We have several new exhibits coming in within the next month or two. The Department of Transportation is putting in some roads for us. We're talking to the FAA about bringing some monitors in so kids can actually see real-life flights. We have an extremely nice train exhibit. And yesterday, we was donated a train console from an actual train. We're going to refurbish it and put it next to the train exhibit so kids can actually be the train conductor and move levers and valves.
I am so excited. Everybody, you need to go down there to Inc. in Oakwood.
Your community partner in protection, Electronic Sales Company. See them today online at electronicsalesco.com.
Hey folks, Todd Starnes here. When it comes to keeping pests out of your home, Mark Turner at Select Pest Control has it figured out. As the name implies, you get to select whether you want their professional team to take care of those pesky pests, or if you'd rather do it yourself, visit their retail store on Brownsbridge Road in Gainesville. Since 1993, Mark and his great staff have offered professional service, products, and advice to North Georgia. Visit them online at selectpest.net, or better yet, stop by Select Pest Control today and tell them Todd sent you.
My name is Whitney Allen, and I'm a widow. My husband, Ryan, died. We never thought we'd ever have to use life insurance, but the unexpected happened. With Ethos, signing up was fast and 100% online. You can get a quote in seconds, apply in minutes, and get same-day coverage. No medical exams, and you can get up to $3 million worth of coverage. I'm grateful we were prepared.
Get your free quote at ethos.com/term. That's ethos.com/term. Paid spokesperson. Time spent on application may vary. Online health questions required.
Shoot your shot on Prize Picks and get $50 bonus credit instantly in lineups when you play your first $5. Prize Picks makes every dunk, every dime, and every board that much more exciting. So don't miss this chance to get started on America's #1 app for sports picks. Download the Prize Picks app today. Use the code ROAM. Get a $50 bonus credit instantly in lineups when you play $5. That's code ROAM on Prize Picks to get a $50 bonus credit instantly in lineups when you play $5. Win or lose, you'll get $50 bonus credit in lineups just for playing. It's guaranteed. Prize Picks. It's going to be right. You do have to be present in certain states. Visit prizepicks.com for restrictions and details.
Always here, always local.
From the Access WDUN Hardy Chevrolet Newsroom, City of Oakwood now is urging the Department of Homeland Security to stop action on the proposed ICE facility. Details at Access WDUN and coming up on North Georgia's News Talk.
Use the Access WDUN Talk and Text line, presented by M&R Rental at 770-535-2911, and be part of the conversation. From the Northeast Georgia Health System studio in downtown Gainesville, it's the Martha Zoller Show on AM 550 and FM 102.9 WDUN.
One of the things we need to do that we've been working on with the federal government is jamming cell phones. Contraband cell phones have gotten into our prisons and people are directing violent crime and scams. Fortunately, we've worked with the Trump administration. For years, the federal government has said, nope, states, you can't jam those cell phones. Makes no sense to me. Absolutely, we should not be siding with criminals in this particular case. Jam cell phones, stop the violent crimes. Drones, making sure that drones don't drop those cell phones in there. But absolutely, anybody that's committing a crime, whether it's inside or on the outside, we're going to go after and make sure that we do everything we possibly can to keep people safe. You owe a debt to society, and that's an important responsibility, but nobody should be losing their life.
So that's Chris Carr talking about the law enforcement side of what he wants to do as governor. I mean, really, Logan, can you believe that people drop phones into prisons with drones?
I'm not surprised, but I also know that, criminals are very crafty in their work.
It's like if they would use their smarts for good and not evil, They probably would be real successful.
They'd be geniuses, yeah, with how they're able to do all that. But no, I'm not surprised they're dropping phones in through drones
really,
now.
Can you imagine that you don't that somehow the federal government ever thought, no, we have to allow these guys to have cell phone service in prison?
Yeah,
I mean, come on.
I know jails have, I think, over the years gotten a lot more relaxed with kind of screen time with cell phones and TV shows and everything like that. Martha, I'll see sometimes where people are in their jail cell posting videos on YouTube or on TikTok. And I'm like, first off, how'd you get this thing in here?
And then you wonder if it's real, too.
Right, and then you're like, well, is this real or is this AI, of course? But I see that, I'm like, wow, okay, this is a new realm we're in here.
Yeah, it's crazy. So law enforcement, I think, prior to the Iran war, I don't think law enforcement was going to be as big of an issue in local elections. But I do think that we're going to see more of that. And we actually saw Rick Jackson dropped a new ad about law enforcement and his view on that, that he went out there on. Yesterday also, the Jackson campaign filed a defamation case against Burt Jones, which I thought was interesting because pretty much if you're a political candidate, you can say anything about anybody, and it doesn't have to be true. But there is a line, and we don't know where the line is. If it's just a bold-faced lie, is their responsibility? If I were advising Rick, I would have said don't file the lawsuit. But I did talk to his people about it, and they felt like it was such an egregious lie about his company paying for transgender surgeries when it's not what they do, that they felt like they had to push back on it. And so it's getting real nasty out there, Logan, right now between Burt Jones and Rick Jackson. And the newest poll has got Rick Jackson at 37%, Burt Jones at 23%. Chris Carr's up to 14%. And so it is very, very nasty out there because I think, again, nobody saw this coming with Rick. I didn't. Nobody. It was the best kept secret ever. And I think it's going to be really, really interesting to watch. I really do.
Yeah, and so we've still got plenty of time left for things to get even more heated.
It's going to get more heated. And I guess, I guess the way it looks is that candidates, I think Burt expected that he was going to have kind of an easy ride into the nomination. Yeah, it might be a runoff, but he'd be in first place because he has the Trump endorsement. And now it's kind of upended the whole thing. And I understand his team is just livid. And there's a lot of profanity going around in text messages. And so let me just give you a little more advice about that. Whether it's the 90s or it's today, don't write anything that you wouldn't want to see on the front page of the newspaper. That's a good advice. We'll be back.
Hi, I'm John Shackelford, Executive Director of Eagle Ranch. For families in the middle of a struggle, knowing what is needed and where to go for help can be hard. To support these families, we created First Step Counseling. This new program allows families looking for help to meet with an Eagle Ranch counselor to share their story and make a plan for healing and renewal before starting therapy. Counselors are standing by and ready to meet with you and your family in person within a few days, so no long wait list. And like all Eagle Ranch services, no one is turned away because of financial constraints. Schedule a call with our First Step team today by going to eagleranch.org.
Hear that? That's Mike. He took ZQL Pure Z's, so now he's sleeping soundly on a Sunday night. ZQL Pure Z's are fast-acting melatonin gummies with a complementary botanical blend to help Mike get the sleep he needs to wake up refreshed and ready to conquer Monday.
Let's do this Monday.
ZQL Pure Z's, just for sleep. Really great sleep. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. These products are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Use as directed.
Hey, can you blow up some balloons for Jack's party?
I can't. I'm so congested.
You need Sinex Saline from Vicks.
Sinex Saline nasal spray?
Yeah, just Sinex. Breathe.
Sinex Saline instantly clears everyday congestion associated with colds and year-round allergies with a gentle, ultra-fine mist that's no mess and easy to control.
Daddy, we need more balloons.
On it.
Enjoy life's important moments without congestion. Try Sinex Saline from Vicks. Just Sinex. Breathe. Use as directed.
Get breaking news fast. Sign up at accesswdun.com for breaking news alerts via text. Log on to accesswdun.com for details and to sign up. You can also sign up to receive local weather and sports alerts. Get the news first with breaking news text alerts from Access WDUN and North Georgia's News Talk. WDUN Gainesville, WDUN FM Clarksville, Gainesville. Always here, always local.
It's 10:30.
Fox News, I'm CJ. Papa War Secretary Pete Hegseth says the U.S. is keeping the pressure on the Islamic Republic.
The most fighters, the most bombers, the most strikes. Intelligence more refined and better than ever.
On the flip side,
the last 24 hours have seen Iran fire the lowest number of missiles they've been capable of firing.
America's top General Joint Chiefs Chair Dan Kane.
This is gritty and tireless work, and I cannot begin to explain how incredibly proud I am of the extraordinary courage, tenacity, and grit and professionalism within the Joint Force.
This during a Pentagon briefing earlier today. Existing home sales bouncing back in February, buyers cashing in on easing mortgage rates and more properties on the market. America's listening to Fox News.
Always here, always local.
From the Access WDUN Hardy Chevrolet Newsroom, I'm Steve Winslow. And days after a prank turned into a tragic accident in Northern Hall County, families of both the teacher and student involved have released statements. WDUN's Caleb Hutchins reports.
The family of North Hall High School teacher and coach Jason Hughes told the New York Times Monday that they do not want charges pressed against 18-year-old Jaden Wallace. Authorities said Wallace had pulled a prank at Hughes' home and was driving away when Hughes began to run alongside his vehicle. Hughes then fell in front of the vehicle and was run over and killed. Wallace was arrested on charges including vehicular homicide, reckless driving, and trespassing. He also issued a statement Monday saying he's grieving Hughes' death and wants to honor his memory moving forward.
A Gillsville man is sentenced to 20 years in prison in a child molestation case, and WDUN's Hamilton Keener has the details.
26-year-old Edgar Giovanni Razzo was arrested in May of last year, accused of molesting an underage girl multiple times from 2021 to 2022. Razzo was arrested alongside his father, Raimundo Castillo, who is also facing charges in the case.
And Jackson County Board of Education has voted to appoint Ryan Brooks to fill a now vacant seat on their board, as he'll be sworn in later this month during Jackson's Board of Education annual retreat to fill the District 3 seat. More news at Access WDUN. Now here's your Access WDUN forecast.
North Georgia, we've got a mix of clouds and sunshine with a shower chance this morning. Otherwise, partly to mostly cloudy skies, upper 70s. Into tonight, partly to mostly cloudy skies, low 60s by early tomorrow. From the Access WDUN Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Holly Strano.
In Cleveland, 61 degrees, Decula 65, and in Gainesville, 64. From North Georgia's News Talk, AM 550 and FM 102.9 WDUN.
I'm Tommy Howard with the Norton Agency. Today's market demands so much more than putting a sign up, listing it on a computer, or letting the phone ring. It's a complicated and competitive process. Do you fully understand the new protocols for buying or selling real estate? Are you sure you're getting the best price? Can you navigate the maze of inspections, disclosures, appraisals, and loans? You need Norton now more than ever. Call us at 770-532-0022 or look for us on the web at gonorton.com. Our family serving North Georgia for 4 generations.
Your roof protects your family, your guests, your pets, and your most precious belongings from the elements, and you hardly think about it, especially if it's a metal roof from Dawsonville Metal Products. Dawsonville Metal Products is your metal roofing specialist, ready to give your home a new look that will last a lifetime. Call Dawsonville Metal Products today at 706-265-3099 or log on to their website, DawsonvilleMetal.com. That's Dawsonville Metal Products, everything that matters under one roof.
It's the Martha Zoller Show, presented by Gainesville Mechanical, from the Northeast Georgia Health System studio in downtown Gainesville on AM 550 and FM 102.9 WDUN.
Is it Islamophobic to wonder or suggest that Islam is not as welcoming to other religions as religions are to them? I just wonder, because I never hear this equation in reverse. I'm glad that the cops might have saved the mayor's wife's life. It's going to make it hard for her to like the ISIS post, though. That's going to be tough for her. Zoran is a naturalized immigrant, and many of these violent, hateful people are the same. I don't think that this idealized nation of immigrants that we talk about means anything unless there's a common denominator. We've forfeited the expectation of assimilation. We no longer even, it's not like we don't even demand it. We don't even expect it. And we're too scared to reject their anti-American positions, all for the sake of appearing tolerant. This is what you get, suicidal empathy. We extend our hand, they want to chop it off. There is a vibe shift going on over the last 20 years. When you see the media covering for terrorists, that's different than, say, 2006, when the mayor leads with Islamophobia after a terrorist attack, that's interesting. Neglecting that this so-called Islamophobia actually is arising from Americaphobia.
So that's Greg Gutfeld, and I want to remind you again of the New York City Police Department Chief Aaron Edwards. He's a 2-star. You rarely see someone that high of a level out at a particular event getting involved. But in this case, he saw the person with the bomb. He jumped over the stanchion. There's a great picture of him. You can find it, if you just Google his name, Aaron Edwards. There's a great picture of him, and it makes you proud to be an American, because this guy was putting his life on the line to protect the city that he worked for. Now, I've got some audio of some of these calls from 9/11, and I want to remind this because, look, Zoran Mondami wants to say that we're being Islamophobic. I'm not Islamophobic. I am terrorist phobic. Okay, and I believe for the last number of years we have allowed a lot of military-age men from countries who hate us that we have no idea, and women too probably, that we have no idea what their goals are for being here. And I think it's okay to do like what we did with my grandmother, where we asked what your purpose was to come here. Did you have a job? Were you an anarchist? Were you, what was your plan to do once you got here? I don't think there's anything wrong with that. And I think it made people want to assimilate to be Americans. But here are just 3 of those calls that were made on 9/11 by people that knew they were going to die in these airplanes, but just wanted to reach out to the people they loved.
Honey, are you there? Jack, pick up, sweetie. Okay, well, I just wanted to tell you I love you. We're having a little problem on the plane. I'm totally fine. I just love you more than anything. Just know that. And, I'm comfortable and I'm okay for now. It's a little problem, so I just love you. Please tell my family I love them too. Bye, honey.
Elsa, it's Lynn. I only have a minute. I'm on United 93, and it's been hijacked by terrorists who say they have a bomb. Apparently, they have flown a couple of planes into the World Trade Center already. It looks like they're going to take this one down as well. Mostly, I just wanted to say I love you. And I'm going to miss you. Mostly, I just love you, and I just wanted to tell you that. I don't know if I'm going to get a chance to tell you that again or not. All my stuff is in the safe. The safe is in my closet in my bedroom. The combination is you push P for clear and then 0913. And then it should, and maybe pound, and then it should unlock. I love you, and I hope I can talk to you soon. Bye.
Hi, baby. Baby, you have to listen to me carefully. I'm on a plane that's been hijacked. I'm on the plane. I'm calling from the plane. I want to tell you I love you. Please tell my children that I love them very much. And I'm so sorry, babe. I don't know what to say. There's 3 guys. They've hijacked the plane. I'm trying to be calm. We're turned around, and I've heard that there's planes that's been flown into the World Trade Center. I hope to be able to see your face again, baby. I love you. Bye.
So that's quite emotional. Okay, those are 3 women. That would be so like me giving Lynn the combination of how to get into our stuff because you know you're not going to make it through, or you think you're not going to make it through. And whether it was the first war this country ever had against the Barbary pirates with Thomas Jefferson, those were radical Islamists, okay? They got put off for a while because they took over they created the Ottoman Empire, and they got to control about half of Europe for a long period of time. And so they kind of stayed in their own lane until after, and was kind of decimated after World War I. And then what you saw was a lot of growth in the Middle East and other areas, these countries looking a lot like the West. And again, I know there are people out there that have been taught the West is a bad thing, but the West had freedom, rights for women, enlightenment, ended slavery. People want to put this slavery cape on the Western world. And yes, they did get involved in the slave trade, but they were also the ones that ended the slave trade. That has made it to be thought that having slaves was a wrong thing, because there's many cultures in the world today that still have slave trade. But we have made it to where the developed world, the civil world, thinks that's a bad thing. And also I love, I was listening to this interview about indigenous people in Australia and Canada and the United States. And this idea that the indigenous people were just singing kumbaya with each other before the Europeans got there is just not true. They were taking over lands from each other just like people and men and women have done, mostly men, since the beginning of time. People have moved from one place to another for resources. And sometimes it wasn't pretty. And the way it's being taught to a large number of people has made them hate who they are. And it's not about white supremacy or whiteness or white privilege, because they are ideas that get held up for everybody to be a part of. And we're getting ready to celebrate the 250th anniversary of the Declaration of Independence. At this time, 250 years ago, they were working on it. And I went by the post office today to get some 250th anniversary stamps, because that organization's been around about as long as the country has. And, it's important that we understand this history, because the Declaration of Independence was one of the greatest documents. And do you know why? Because it set out an ideal that, no, we had not achieved yet and may never achieve, but we set it out to accomplish it, and we're better every year. And when I see people like Kamala Harris and Barack Obama and Joe Biden and Bill Clinton even talking about how bad things are, really, you want to know what privilege is those four people talking about how bad things are, who have had things handed to them on a silver platter their entire lives. Maybe not Bill Clinton, because he came from Hope, Arkansas. But, folks, we've got to fight for our culture, and that doesn't mean white culture. It means Western culture that is civilized and has freedom for women. Where are the women's groups over what's been happening around the world to women? Where are the women's groups about what's happening to the Iranian women's soccer team right now? Some of them are staying behind in Australia, but some of them are going home, because if they don't go home, their entire families are going to be killed. They may be killed when they get there, but they're going home knowing they may be killed because they didn't sing the national anthem. We may criticize Colin Kaepernick, but no one tried to kill him. The government didn't try to kill him. But these women, the ones that are staying behind because they could get killed when they get there. The ones that are going because they know they may get killed when they get there, but if they're afraid if they don't go back, their whole family's going to be killed. This is what we're fighting against. Let's go to the phones now and talk to Scott in Gainesville. Hey, Scott, how you doing?
Hi, Martha. Thank you for taking my call here. I'm in 2010, I did my master's in world history education at Piedmont. And during that class, one of the things we discussed was, and this was in the books, in the college books, about the Islamic influence in southern France and how they had come over from Africa, and they still do, and they had already set up communities in Sharia law, and even then, in the books, it talked about how the government and the police would not go into communities. And so, I got kind of stunned about that because I'm a baby boomer, and I've been telling people, I've been saying this the last 8-9 years. I have friends that live in Texas, and I would tell them, when I heard about the Epic community, and they just kind of laughed at me. And this was a couple years ago. This is coming to Gainesville. This is coming to Hall County. If we think we're kind of isolated, and I wonder, as a Christian, are we so compassionate that we will sit back and allow this to happen to our country, or to our grandkids will fight it or be faced with it? Not me, because I'm so old. I'll be gone before it gets to that point. But I think our culture is saying, we Christian, God, Jesus tells us to love our neighbor, and it doesn't really tell us in the New Testament to rise up against this like it does in the Old Testament. So,
I think, though, if you heard the audio I played earlier in the program, it was of a man who was a Muslim along with his family, and that over time, because of kindness that people showed them, they all converted to Christianity and talked about how much better their life was. You're not going to convert every person, but I do believe that in the Christian faith, you are more likely to convert people with love and with kindness and compassion. But I understand your argument about how if we just sit by and let these things happen. And I think that what happened is we've allowed too many boundaries to be blurred, let's just put it that way. And to your point about France, is that their problem is that they allow anyone that was a former protectorate of France to immigrate there in any number. And that was Northern Africa, which is Northern Africa has a lot of Muslims in that. And again, I'm not saying that I know a lot of great Muslims. I know a lot of Muslims that are not radical Muslims, but I think they're even afraid to speak out against the radical Muslims. Scott, thanks for your call today. And I think that what we have to do is, number one, don't forget 9/11 and what happened on that day. But you also don't forget the war against the Barbary pirates. You don't forget the USS Cole. You don't forget the attack on the Marine barracks. You don't forget October 7th. You don't forget all of the IEDs and roadside bombs that took arms and legs and lives of not just Americans, but people in the area. Don't forget the people that use women and children as shields. This particular radical sect is on record saying we use women and children for shields because we know that the infidels will hesitate. We've got to draw a line between good and evil. And that doesn't necessarily have anything to do with freedom of religion. You have got to draw a line between good and evil. And if you're coming here like these two people who, I don't know if they were radicalized in the United States or if they came here radicalized, I don't know. But they were throwing bombs with horrible, if those bombs had gone off, the stuff that was inside of it as well as the chemicals that were inside of it would have created havoc, many deaths, but also a lot of injuries. And that is not acceptable. If you cannot provide security, you cannot have sovereignty. We'll be back.
All the updates on the way home.
Afternoons move faster with the essential updates you need.
Your show is just so informative.
It's The Drive at 5, weekdays on AM 550 and FM 102.9 WDUN.
If your aging loved one needs help, your first impulse might be to call an estate planning lawyer and hope for the best. There's just one problem. Elder care isn't simple. And it's not just about wills, trusts, and powers of attorney. Hi, I'm Haley Brock, attorney and owner of Kimbrough Law. Elder care law is unique. It sits at the intersection of healthcare, long-term care, finances, housing, and family dynamics. It's about protecting the legal, financial, and personal well-being of people facing the challenges created by aging, long-term illness, or disability. Elder care law is about getting the right care in the right place at the right time, while protecting assets and minimizing caregiving burdens to the greatest extent possible. At Kimbrough Law, elder care law isn't an add-on. It's what we do every day. If you're caring for an aging loved one and want guidance you can trust, Kimbrough Law can help. Call 706-850-6910 or visit kimbroughLaw.net to schedule a consultation.
This is Nick
and Laura
from Nichols Body Shop. We want you to know it's your choice who repairs your vehicle.
Do not assume you can get the best repair for the cheapest price.
Every shop is different.
We work for you, our customer, to give you the best repair possible.
Learn more by calling 770-967-8200 or come by the shop. Estimates are always free.
You can also find us on Facebook at Nichols Body Shop,
the home of quality repairs
and old-fashioned service.
My name is Whitney Allen, and I'm a widow. My husband, Ryan, died. We never thought we'd ever have to use life insurance, but the unexpected happened. With Ethos, signing up was fast and 100% online. You can get a quote in seconds, apply in minutes, and get same-day coverage. No medical exams, and you can get up to $3 million worth of coverage. I'm grateful we were prepared.
Get your free quote at ethos.com/term. That's ethos.com/term. Paid spokesperson. Time spent on application may vary. Online health questions required.
Shoot your shot on Prize Picks and get $50 bonus credit instantly in lineups when you play your first $5. Prize Picks makes every dunk, every dime, and every board that much more exciting. So don't miss this chance to get started on America's #1 app for sports picks. Download the Prize Picks app today. Use the code ROME. Get a $50 bonus credit instantly in lineups when you play $5. That's code ROME on Prize Picks to get a $50 bonus credit instantly in lineups when you play $5. Win or lose, you'll get $50 bonus credit in lineups just for playing. It's guaranteed. Prize Picks. It's going to be right. You do have to be present in certain states. Visit prizepicks.com for restrictions and details.
Always here, always local.
From the Access WDUN Hardy Chevrolet Newsroom, Jackson County's Board of Education is preparing its leadership roles for its own board and for a soon-to-open high school next year. Details at Access WDUN and coming up on North Georgia's News Talk.
Use the Access WDUN talk and text line, presented by M&R Rental at 770-535-2911, and be part of the conversation. From the Northeast Georgia Health System studio in downtown Gainesville, it's the Martha Zoller Show on AM 550 and FM 102.9 WDUN.
Good afternoon, everyone. Tomorrow is Election Day, and we need every America First patriot to get out there and vote for the one campaign that has been endorsed by our great president, Donald J. Trump. That's me, Clay Fuller, and our agenda for Capitol Hill is simple. We're going to secure the border. We're going to deport every illegal immigrant. We're going to make sure that we're fighting back against the Islamic invaders that are coming into our country. We're going to make sure that we have President Trump's back, and we're going to be a warrior for Northwest Georgia. And we're going to be fighting for the middle class each and every day by making sure that good manufacturing jobs are coming back to Georgia 14. So we need your vote. We need your support, because a Democrat cannot be allowed to win the seat. It's a possibility if you don't get out and vote that a Democrat could win the seat. So get out and vote. That would be a tragedy for Northwest Georgia, and that would be a tragedy for the MAGA movement. And that's why President Trump has chosen our campaign to carry the MAGA movement into the next decade, because of our experience. I'm a military veteran that's deployed to the Middle East. I'm an elected district attorney who has put some of the worst criminals away for their entire lives. I was an appointee in the first Trump administration, and that's why he's endorsed us in this race. And that's why you've got to go out and vote tomorrow, March 10th. The hours are from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. And if you need information about your polling station, just go to the Georgia Secretary of State's website. So just know that the left is out in full force. So we need to get out there and vote. Our campaign needs your support. President Trump needs your support, and you need to send me, a warrior for Northwest Georgia, to Capitol Hill to be a warrior for you.
It is the Martha Zoller Show, and today is the special election in the 14th Congressional District. There's something like 11 or 14 candidates that are running, and the top two will end up in the runoff. I kind of think it's going to be Colton Moore and the Clay Fuller, who is the Trump-endorsed candidate. it's funny how this Trump endorsement is working or not working. I mean, people that don't have it are talking about it. Not the endorsement, but they talk about President Trump because he's still very popular in Republican primaries. In a district like the 14th District, which is 75% Republican, probably, that's going to be important there too. There's been a lot of weird stuff going on the against Clay Fuller because he is the front runner. There was a weird text message that went out last night to people in the 14th District saying that Clay Fuller was actually a gay man and doing this, that, and the other thing. And I'm thinking to myself, you're supposed to know where these kinds of things, these attacks come from. And I remember when I ran for Congress, there was a robocall that was done against me saying, a little old lady says, that Martha Zoller, she's not a Christian and blah, 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 blah. And at the end of it, this was a robocall. You're supposed to have who paid for the robocall. But just coincidentally, the tag on the end of it that was supposed to say who paid for it was blurred where nobody could hear it. And, for me, and I'm sure it came either for somebody working for Doug Collins or the Doug Collins campaign. I've never been able to verify it. And it's fine. And it does still bug me. It does still bug me because to me, it's one thing to make the accusation. If you're going to be in politics, you can make any accusation you want to make. But not following the rules so that you can find out where it came from is aggravating to me. Okay? And I don't think that's right. Just like the reason why I don't like super PACs, even though I worked for one, so I learned from the inside, the reason why I don't like super PACs is because you can't drill down to exactly where the money's coming from. And even though I did benefit from Citizens United when I ran for Congress, maybe I ran from Congress, I don't know, maybe. But even though I benefited from them over time, what I've seen is that having these groups where they can put a lot of money into something and not say who they are, I think is a problem. I agree with Ted Oglesby, who used to do this show with me once or twice a week, and he'd always do primary coverage, is that you ought to be able to give as much money as you want or are able to give to a campaign, but it ought to have your name next to it. Okay? Your name next to it. And this was long before Citizens United. This was just when these kind of new groups were starting out where people would call it like People for the American Way, but you didn't know who was behind it. And it sounds great. People for the American Way. How can you be opposed to that? But you don't know where the money came from. I don't care how much money people put in politics, as long as I know where the money came from. And I think that's what we have to do. So there's lots more coming right here. We're going to keep talking about the issues of the day. You want to stay with us throughout the day because we're always here, always local.